So anyone who lived in Manhattan or went to school in Manhattan when they were in their early 20s always had a favorite pub. They had a favorite bar downtown. It just seemed like everybody had one. Mine was Flannery's. Mine was Flannery's on 14th Street and 7th Avenue. And on June 17th, 1994, we were there to watch the Knicks game. It was Knicks Rockets. It was Game 5, and we were going to be there. I was with the Lardis boys. I was with the Bishop, Duffy, Skip, my brother Anthony, and the whole crew was out to watch Knicks, Rockets, NBA Finals Game 5. So the bar's packed, the energy's crazy. We're all underage, except my brother. But we're getting served. It happens. We're pounding black and tans. We're getting loud. We're having a great time. And then we see this white Bronco come across the screen. And I look around and I look at every TV in the bar, and every TV in the bar has a white Bronco riding across the screen. So you could just hear everybody in the bar yelling, "What the fuck is this? What's going on?" People are throwing things. Nobody can understand what's happening. It's Knicks Rockets. We're in Manhattan. This is the finals. What the hell is this white Bronco? Well, we find out later that 95 million people across the nation are watching Al Cowlings drive his white Bronco on a slow police chase on a Los Angeles highway as double murder suspect O.J. Simpson is riding in the back seat. Simpson, of course, was charged with the murders of his former wife, Nicole Brown, and her friend Ron Goldman, June 17, 1994. The events of this day and how sports played a pivotal role in a dark American chapter of pop culture and the birth of the 24-hour news cycle are wonderfully portrayed in Brett Morgen's 2010 documentary titled June 17, 1994. So it was a very busy day in sports, and we're going to share a few different tickets here from this, what we're calling the Day of Infamy. First, it was the FIFA World Cup. It was in Chicago. It was the commencement, and this is what started our day. It was the commencement of the FIFA World Cup, in which the United States was hosting for the first time. Oprah Winfrey and then President Clinton led the opening ceremony on a beautiful afternoon in the Windy City. The first match of the World Cup, following the opening ceremony, Germany took on Bolivia, and we have the ticket for this one. Take a look at this one. It's a beautiful looking ticket. This is game one. This is the opening of the World Cup. So as you can see, it has the World Cup logo on the bottom. It has game one. What's really cool, and in that red portion on the top, it says that at 1:15 p.m. was the opening ceremony. Again, that's the opening ceremony. Again, 1:15 p.m. Central Time. And then 2 p.m. Central Time is the kickoff between the first match that's kicking off the World Cup, Germany and Bolivia, at Soldier Field in Chicago. Beautiful ticket for a very famous day in America, as it turns out to be. Germany topped Bolivia 1-0 in this contest. Nice little tidbit here. Jürgen Klinsmann had the only goal for Germany at the 61st minute, and that was enough for the win. Klinsmann eventually became the coach of the men's soccer team, the United States men's national soccer team, in 2011, and he held that position for 5 years. That's an interesting tidbit because he was the first player ever to score a World Cup goal in North American soil, which is really interesting there. So yeah, during that game, in your wildest imaginations, you couldn't even foresee the events that were going to transpire later in Brentwood, California. We should note that later that day in the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas, there was also a match between Spain and Korea, 2-2 tie. That was their first match in group stage. That was the only other World Cup match played on June 17, 1994. Turns out it was a real busy day in New York. The New York Rangers were holding their ticker tape parade along the Canyon of Heroes, celebrating winning the 1994 Stanley Cup when they defeated the Vancouver Canucks in a thrilling 7-game series, 4-3. 3 days earlier, it was Game 7 of the Stanley Cup, and the New York Rangers beating the Canucks 3-2 for their first Stanley Cup in 54 years. And guess what? We got the ticket for that. This is a really cool one, guys. This is one of my favorite tickets that I own. This is Game 7, signed by Mark Messier. On the bottom, it says, "Let's go Rangers, 1994 SC champs." This is a stub, but this is super, super cool. Mark Messier, as we know, scored the game-winning goal in that game. He had the guarantee earlier to get them there. Mark Messier is everything for Rangers fans who remember him back then. Once he came to this team, everything changed, and he was the leader that they needed. So super cool ticket here. Graded authentic by PSA. Messier, let's go Rangers, 1994 Stanley Cup champs. That was June 14th, 1994. 3 days before our day of infamy. So again, going back to June 17th, Ken Griffey Jr. on this day tied Babe Ruth for the most home runs before June 30th. He hit his 30th home run that afternoon on June 17th. What was really funny is unceremoniously in Chicago, but later that night while Al Cowling's white Bronco was leading police on a slow chase in Los Angeles, Frank Thomas hit a home run for the Chicago White Sox. And yeah, we got the ticket for that. When I went to go meet Frank, it was very funny. I walked up, I had this ticket, and I said, I have the ticket from the night where you hit a home run during the O.J. Simpson chase. And he laughed hysterically, and a crowd formed. A bunch of people just wanted to take a look at it. And I said, do you mind just writing home run O.J. Chase State? And that's what he wrote. So Frank Thomas signature across the middle with the number 35 as he does. He has a very distinctive autograph. And home run HR O.J. Chase date, June 17th, 1994. And I said, were you aware of what was happening during that time? And he wasn't. He said the players weren't aware. They figured it out when they got back to the locker room. So again, it was a different time. It was 1994. It was before social media and cell phones. So, they didn't find out until they went back to the locker rooms and they turned their TV on and the reporters came in and everyone started talking about it. I talked to the White Sox public relations department. I said, did you put any announcements on the Jumbotron or on the big scoreboard? And they said they didn't. The game wasn't interrupted. So unceremoniously, as this is happening in California, Frank Thomas hits a home run, and nobody really knows about it. Nobody cares about it, it seems. So very interesting. Different in New York, obviously. Of course, what we spoke about earlier, Game 5 of the 1994 NBA Finals, Knicks-Rockets, NBC actually switched its broadcast to cover the Bronco chase. So they switched out, like I said, when I was in Flannery's Bar and I see the white Bronco, that was with 6:39 left in the second quarter. They just cut out of the game and go to the white Bronco. And in Madison Square Garden, they played the chase on the Jumbotron. So then with like 3:40 left in the third quarter and the Knicks leading 59-53, they moved the Knicks coverage to a box in the corner of the screen, that kind of picture-in-picture box, so that they could simultaneously show the chase. And they cut off Marv Albert's play-by-play. Marv Albert's play-by-play of the game was swapped out for minute-by-minute reports about the chase. It's very funny. Like the NBA Finals just took a complete backseat to this. So here's a ticket for that one. We're gonna show you. This is not my ticket. This is my friend Dan Granis's ticket. So he was there with his father. Obviously it's home game 3, 1994 NBA championship. Really cool ticket, known as the O.J. Chase date and the Jumbotron. When it's graded by PSA, they put that on the label. But I was at Flannery's, and my friend Dan was there with his father. His father took him to the game. Rest in peace, Pop. Really, really interesting day in America and in the world of sports. What led to this was O.J.'s arrest and the trial of the century and the 24-hour news cycle as we know today. And so many things have changed since then. O.J. was acquitted. We all know the story. It was very well documented. But the day of infamy, June 17th, 1994.
Victory celebration for the Rangers, but that's just the beginning.
Tomorrow, the 94th U.S. Open at Oakmont.
With suffocating heat and humidity forecast for the World Cup opener tomorrow.
The football legend remains in the
The
crosshairs.
prime suspect, he was questioned.
Blood found at the scene.
On June 17, 1994, O.J. Simpson became the most famous fugitive on the planet.